A common question I get asked by so many candidates looking to pivot into the world of accounting is the accounting degree actually worth it? Like, honestly, is it worth your money or is it worth your time? Now, as someone who has been in the field now for over 10 years, I am going to be giving my honest perspective on whether or not studying an accounting degree is actually worth it. Now, though, bear in mind, I didn't study the accounting degree. I actually came from a completely different route into a career in accountancy. However, over the time that I have been working as an accountant, I have witnessed various candidates come into the field from a variety of different backgrounds, okay, including the fact that I've also been on hiring boards to actually recruit candidates into several accounting roles and being an employee as well, obviously, as the fact that I'm an accountant. Now, the first thing to understand is that studying the accountancy degree in itself does not equate to experience. Now, most people will assume that by them choosing to study an accounting degree over, say, I don't know, another degree entirely that is not even related to accounting is going to give them some sort of an edge. Now, I'm going to tell you why this is not necessarily the case, particularly from a practical perspective and in the realistic sense, is that you would probably have an edge in terms of learning those accounting concepts much earlier, but in the world of work, what really matters is, do you have the experience or do you not? So in this instance, it's very easy to see why when it comes to hiring candidates, many employers will very easily still select a candidate who does not have an accounting degree necessarily, but who has been able to prove and show to them that they have some sort of relevant accounting and finance experience. Another reason you don't want to rely on your accounting degree giving you an edge necessarily over another candidate who doesn't have an accounting degree is the fact that a lot of the concepts that you are studying in those textbooks, when you're in university, are probably already out of date. Accounting in the real world has a lot of changes that are happening on a day-to-day basis. New regulations, new tax laws, new compliance requirements, all different things that it's just going to be virtually impossible for you to keep on top of these changes, whilst you are in school, especially from a theoretical perspective. So when it comes to the real world, what really matters is, are you as a candidate able to show that you understand what is going on from the practical perspective, rather than just being able to regurgitate theoretical concepts that you have studied in your degree. The second thing I came to realize is the fact that many people who study the accounting degree will often assume that they're able to actually qualify much sooner than their counterparts who didn't study the accounting degree. Now, this is because usually when you study the accounting degree, or maybe, I don't know, an accounting and finance MBA or something like that, your buddy, your professional accountancy buddy, will often be able to grant you exemptions. And those exemptions can often mean that you don't have to take some of the accountancy exams, okay, which will mean fewer exam papers for you to have to sit and pass. And hopefully it means that you are able to qualify sooner, right? Wrong. This is because many employers, when you take on a training contract with them, and I know this for a fact because this happened to me, this happened to many people that I know in the UK. When you take out a training contract with some of the big employers, although you are able to actually qualify for those exemptions off of the background that you have, i.e. you have studied an accounting degree, many employers will insist that you still sit those exams. So it kind of makes it pointless, because even though you're able to qualify for those exemptions, your employer will still insist in most cases that you have to sit those exams, just like anyone else who did not take the accounting degree and who does not have those exemptions. So this is definitely something to consider, is that the accounting degree or an accounting and finance MBA does not necessarily provide you a fast track route for you to finish your professional qualifications if that is what you're expecting. It is definitely something that I've seen commonly done, particularly for those who are on training contracts. So this is one point to bear in mind. The thing to know is that taking the accountancy degree does not in itself equate to you being recognized as a professional accountant. You will still be required to take a recognized professional accountancy qualification and combine that with some relevant work experience in order for you to get the chartered accountancy status. Okay, so this is definitely a key point that you want to remember, because when it comes to you taking your accounting degree, you might be thinking, well, if I take the accounting degree, then at the end of it, I will be recognized as a chartered accountant. No, that's not how it works. Obviously, I have a couple of other videos up on my channel where I've delved deeper into various aspects of chartered accountancy here in the UK. So be sure to watch those videos so that you can get an overall viewpoint of all of the different factors to consider when thinking about a career in accountancy. Now, so far, you might be thinking there isn't much of an incentive for you to actually study this degree. However, I do think that studying an accounting degree could potentially open significant doors for you when it comes to choosing a wide variety of roles within finance to pursue your career in. So you might not necessarily end up being a qualified accountant. You might study the degree and think, do you know what, at the end of that degree, I don't really fancy going on to then further my education by training to be a chartered accountant. I want to work in investment banking, or I want to work as a finance analyst, whatever it is. I do feel that if you were to have the accounting degree, that would prove to be quite helpful when it comes to selecting from a broader variety of finance roles. Next point many people forget when it comes to studying the accounting degree is that accounting in itself actually helps to lay down significant foundations for you to understand how business in general works. So studying the degree could really help you in the future when it comes to actually pursuing entrepreneurship. Whether or not you choose to do this by, becoming a chartered accountant does not mean that all those concepts that you learn in your accounting degree will go to waste. For instance, many people who study the accounting degree will often end up maybe training and then at some point in the future set up their own accounting practice and, in essence, become self-employed and establish their business by themselves and run their companies. You could also decide that you wanted to actually explore other avenues of, entrepreneurship using the background concepts that you have learned as part of your accounting degree. Now, at this point, you're probably wondering, is the accounting degree actually worth it? My answer to this is going to be no. This is because, first of all, I didn't come from a background where I had studied the accounting degree. Secondly, I remember that about 10 years ago or thereabouts, I was in the position where I was extremely nervous about the fact that not having the accounting degree was going to significantly harm my chances of working in the field of accountancy. Now, being a qualified accountant many years on, looking back to it, I'm actually like, no, it actually didn't matter. If anything, the fact that I didn't study an accounting degree, I was able to bring and utilize other skill sets from my background that has helped me thrive in the world of accountancy. So if you are in the position where you are really nervous and you are thinking that the fact that you don't have an accounting degree is going to harm your chances of being successful in the world of accountancy, then I would say you shouldn't be. My advice to you is to think about the key points, the strengths that you are bringing from whatever background it is that you're coming from, and how you can apply this to your career. How can you let this come through when you are actually at interviews, when you're at assessment centers, whatever it is? How do you show this to anyone who is looking to recruit you into an accountancy role? So hopefully this video has helped shed some light on some of the things to think about if you're thinking about actually studying the accounting degree of some sort.